Yes, good evening, good afternoon, depending from where you are watching us from. Today, we are here with Honorable Michael Mulunga, a member of Parliament, and also the, the Shadow Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Water Reform. Okay, Master Michael Mulunga, welcome to our YouTube channel, Ordinary Giants. Yeah, so it's where we actually want to share untold stories that mainstream media does not cover. So here we want to share those beautiful stories. So welcome to Ordinary Giants.
Thank you very much to the interviewer. Thank you very much to the viewers. I'm glad and pleased to be sharing my experience and my journey with the viewers.
Just in short, where did you grow up?
Yes, I grew up in Ovambo location, Ovambo Ian, born in 1989. Both my mother and my father that I grew up with, in a very large family. My mother had 9 children, while my father had about 16 children. I went to Mulunga Primary School, which is in Ovambo location. That's where I finished my grade 7. From there onwards, I went to continue at Emmanuel Shifili Secondary School, and later went on to the Polytechnic of Namibia. During my growing up years, it was quite an exciting journey that one grew up in Katutura, and Katutura back then was seen as a place where not so many successful young people come from. And because of that, we had an organization that we joined that was called the Young Achievers Empowerment Project. And I joined that organization because it's an organization that was able to enlighten us, to open our minds. The motto of the organization was to empower and motivate young people, especially those from Katutura, to become responsible citizens in their society. And it was through that organization that I gained quite a lot of leadership skills that we were able to, for example, set visions for ourselves of what we would want to become in the future. And growing up, I always had a vision of wanting to, first I wanted to become a pilot, then I wanted to become an ambassador, then it changed that I wanted to become an entrepreneur, and then at some point I wanted to become a food scientist. But eventually when I got to university, the only opening space that was there was that of business administration. And I think it's because of fate, perhaps, that I got into that field, because my father was an entrepreneur, both here in Windhoek and also in the north. He had shops, retail shops. And I think the apple doesn't fall far away from the tree. Eventually, I went into that path of business administration. I graduated from the Polytechnic of Namibia. But I also had quite a huge passion for poultry farming. I used to do poultry farming in my backyard, keeping a few chickens. Would eat them sometimes when we had nothing to eat at home. And eventually that passion grew. And when I went to university, I started doing quite a lot of research on poultry farming. And I eventually ended up finding a short course that I went to do in about 2008 at the KwaZulu-Natal Poultry Institute in Pietermaritzburg in South Africa. That time I was in university, and I left university. I went to do that 1-week short course, and I came back. And when I came back, I think I was in my second year, and third year, fourth year, when I finished, I had that gap year when I was not doing anything. I eventually also then found another short course that I went to do for 3 months in Egypt at the Egyptian International Center for Agriculture. But moving a bit backwards, also during my time growing up in Katutura in Abambo location, like I said, I was part of this youth organization called Young Achievers Empowerment Project, and through that organization we did quite a lot of volunteer work. We did quite a lot of activities. We went on educational tours where we were able to see our country, and through that I discovered my leadership capabilities. I then went on to apply for opportunities that were available for young people, and some of that opportunities like President Barack Obama's Forum with Young African Leaders, where we went to Washington DC, where President Obama at the time invited about 120 young leaders from the African continent to come and give them a space to speak about the Africa that we want to see in the coming generation. And also had other similar opportunities where I attended the Zeitgeist Young Minds in London, where we also met young people from all over the globe, and we did some activities there. And finally, the last one, we were awarded by the Makerere University Business School as one of the 30 young leaders that are social entrepreneurs transforming the African continent. So through the youth organization and my work, I was able to get those opportunities. And eventually, when I finished university, I then started looking for a job, but I couldn't find one. And during that time, that's when I eventually started my idea of starting a business. I had no startup capital, which is a challenge that many young people have, because when you come out of university, you have no startup capital. If you approach a bank, they'll ask you for collateral, which is something that you do not have. And at the time, I thought of just starting with the little that I had. So I put out an advert that I was selling day-old chicks, because I had found a supplier in South Africa that was willing to supply me chicks. And I advertised, and I got some few clients who trusted me. Now, mind you, I didn't have money. I had to get this money from the clients. All odds were working against you, because you are black, you are from Katutura, you are a male, so everything is against you. But that did not deter me from starting the business. And eventually I collected this money from these few clients that trusted me. I paid the supplier in South Africa, and the chicks were supposed to arrive on this particular date, and I promised to supply them to my clients. But that date came and they didn't come, and it was quite very difficult for me, because now you had all these odds that are against you, and you failed to supply on the agreed date. But eventually the following week the chicks came, and then I was able to supply them, and from there onwards the business grew because of word of mouth, and I was able to grow the business. In that year, when I was still also growing the business, I was also able to get an opportunity through the National Youth Council of Namibia to volunteer as the coordinator for grants and fundraising. And, I did that volunteer work for about a year, getting a very, very small amount of about 3,500 that I survived on, and that I also used to grow the business. And the following year, the position opened up. I applied, and I was fortunate enough to have been successful, and I became a full-time employee of the National Youth Council in my role as coordinator for grants and fundraising. In that role, I was responsible for administering the grants program for youth organizations around Namibia, and also trying to fundraise for these projects. I have been in that role for about 7 years, working full-time and engaging a lot with young people, working with communities, which I really loved and enjoyed. And after that 7 years, I my business that I was doing on the side was also growing, and I saw fit that let me go and concentrate full time on my business. I got a small piece of land outside Windhoek at an area called Nawasport, and I started developing it. And through the Agricultural Bank of Namibia, I was able to get a loan through the youth, not the youth fund, through a non-collateral program that was meant for youth and women. And I think I was the first one to receive it. And that's how I started building on the farm. And we've put up a hatchery that has the capacity to hatch about 20,000 chicks, which is also currently continuing. And in that process, back then when I was working with the Young Achievers Empowerment Project, I was also involved in youth activism, and we would. And I remember very well we were working with the affirmative repositioning by the time that it came in 2014, and we were toying on the streets. And one of the highlights of the protest that I organized was the Parliament must fall, because the government wanted to build a new parliament, spending about 700 million. And we as a youth were against it, saying that money could be put to good use, such as youth unemployment and other developmental programs that could benefit the Namibian people instead of building a new parliament. And that was successful. That parliament was never built, and that's something that I'm proud of. And we've got involved in so many other activities in the affirmative repositioning. And eventually, when the wave of the independent candidate, the Phenomena for Change, came on board, I also joined that Phenomena for Change, because I saw this gentleman who was very eloquent and speaking exactly what I think the Namibians wanted to hear, and that was none other than Dr. Panduleni Itula, and I followed him from there onwards. And the following year, in 2020, I became the candidate for the new party IBC for the regional and local authority elections. I stood as the candidate for Katutura East constituency. Unfortunately, I didn't make it as the candidate, but I came second, because it was about 7 candidates that participated in that elections in Katutura East constituency. However, I did not give up. I continued to play an active role in the party, building structures, participating in party activities, until eventually last year, 2024, where I participated as one of the candidates for the parliament. And I was fortunate enough to have been elected at my constituency level, and I moved up to the regional level, and I was elected as a candidate for the national level. And I participated in the National Congress that took place last year in September, where eventually I was elected to be on spot number 3 for the parliament candidates. The elections took place in November, and we were fortunate enough to have scored 20 seats in the parliament, and I eventually made it, and I was sworn in as a member of parliament in March, the 20th of March 2025, and I currently serve as a member of parliament and also serving as the shadow minister for agriculture, fisheries, water and land reform. It's been quite an exciting journey, because I believe as young people and through the days of our activism, I've realized that talking alone and making noise on social media was not really helping us much as young people. We needed to step ahead and get to the table where these decisions are being made, because toying on the streets alone and making noise on Facebook wasn't really bringing about the change that we wanted to see. And it is a commitment that I made to myself to say that if I wanted to see change, let me get to the table where these decisions for change are being made. And also, what also frustrated me and drew me into the political space was the fact that our leaders always told us and were telling us, oh, you are the future leaders of tomorrow. Young people are the future leaders. And 10 years passed by, 15 years passed by, and that future was not coming. The same leaders who were telling us that we are the future leaders were still occupying these positions and were refusing to leave. It is for that reason that I went to look for an alternative um, platform where one could get to that table. And I'm very happy so far with the progress that we've made. Still 4 years ahead of us in this exciting journey of being national leaders. What excites me a lot about Parliament is not just what is discussed in the chambers, but also what happens behind the scenes. So we have got committees, and I serve on 3 committees where we do quite a lot of work, going to the communities, where we engage stakeholders, and this is the real work where Parliament, I believe, where Parliament is making an impact in Namibia.
Yeah, so Master Michael, man, I'm just curious that because I know in Katutura there's so many social challenges, and that is why some of them are affecting young people. Unemployment is one of them, which discourages so many people. Looking back, if you didn't join Young Achievers, where did you see yourself in today?
I think joining the Young Achievers Empowerment Project was the best decision that I've made in my life, and I don't want to imagine where I would have ended up had I not joined this organization, because this organization was a stepping stone in my life, in shaping and bringing me to where I am today. And if you look at the number of young people that have gone through this program and where they are today, 10 years, 15 years later, is really amazing and sends chills down your spine. And I think the organization has played quite a big role in me being where I am today, because not every young person from Katutura was fortunate enough to have gotten this opportunity, because many young people in Katutura has succumbed to the peer pressure, because you are surrounded by a lot of bars, you are tempted to go and drink, you are tempted to use drugs, but this organization helped us to stay focused, helped us to see the vision where we would want to see ourselves 10 to 15 years. And I'm really happy that the organization has shaped me into the young man that I am today. And a lot of credit goes to them, because had I not been in that program, I don't know where I would have ended up today. Probably somewhere, but not where I think I am at this stage.
Is Young Achievers still the same?
Not really. It's not the same as it was when we were active back then, because when we were active back then, it was a constant thing in your mind. It's like a program thing that it's Saturday, it's 1 o'clock, I need to be at the Young Achievers Empowerment Program. And we used to do quite a lot of community activities. We used to go on annual trips, we used to go on visits, but that's not happening quite a lot today, because I think also the world has changed.
Yeah.
There is quite a lot of technology now.
Yeah.
Young people are more on Facebook,
Yeah.
TikTok and Twitter. So that space of just sitting in a circle and discussing issues of life, I think the enthusiasm is not there anymore as it was back then. And I remember when we were in that program back then, I also didn't take no for an answer. We would go for educational trips, and we need to organize a bus with the Ministry of Youth, and it's a day before the trip and there's no bus, and I would go to that ministry, speak to the director, plead with them and say the trip is tomorrow, we need to get this bus. And so you see the enthusiasm for youth activities was there, but now we don't see it much anymore, although I would really want it to be as it was back then, and I'd be happy to contribute to bring young people together through such a program, because I think it really, really helped me to shape my life and the many others that went through the program.
Okay, as the Shadow Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Reform, what opportunities are there for young people, looking that unemployment is so high in this country?
The agricultural space, especially in Africa and in Namibia, is quite enormous. There's quite a lot of opportunities that especially young people can tap into. Namibia imports quite a lot of its food from South Africa, and we export a lot of billions in this food that we're importing, and this is a market that young people can tap into by producing this food locally. And that is what I want to see as the Shadow Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Land Reform. And this can only happen if we empower the young people with, number one, access to land, because land is the means of production. Without land, you cannot be able to do anything. And we have seen that resettlement farms are given to people who don't do anything on it. And these are some of the policies and legislations that I want to push to change, to say that rather than giving somebody a 3,000 hectare farm, why don't we split it into smaller units? Because farming has shifted away from plowing or being on a 5,000 hectare farm to intensive farming where you can engage technology. If you look at the place where I'm on a two hectare plot, but the amount of work that I'm doing on a 2 hectare plot in comparison to, for example, somebody who has been resettled on a 3,000 hectare farm, I'm probably doing much better than a person who has 3,000 hectares. So we need to shift away from allocating huge land to smaller pieces of land, so as to accommodate as many young people as we can, give them opportunity, give them access to funding. I'm very happy that the government has made a provision for a program for the Youth Development Fund, where young people can go and apply for funding to start their own enterprises. And one of that opportunity is in the agricultural sector, where young people can set up poultry farms, you can do piggery, you can do goat farming, you can do gardening, intensive gardening with tunnels, grow plants using latest technology. So the opportunities are quite a lot in the agricultural space for young people to enter into. The other one probably that we need to address as national leaders is the allocation of the fishing quotas, which mostly were allocated to the friends of politicians or those close to the proximity of state power, into a system that is more fair, a system that looks at equality, where as many Namibians can benefit from the resources as possible, and not just a selected few people to benefit. So those are some of the policies and the legislations that I intend on advocating and championing as the Shadow Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Land Reform, but most importantly to hold the government accountable to the promises that they've made to the Namibian people. So it is my duty to hold the Honourable Minister accountable and to speak on behalf of the Namibian people, because that is the mandate that we've received from the Namibian people through the votes that they've given us. So that is what I intend on doing in the coming 4 years that are left.
As much as land is an issue, I think some of the policies need to be changed, like for instance the red line. Because if you look at it, our parents have small plots somewhere there in the northern part of Namibia, where those plots are actually suitable for crop farming and all those things. But because of that policy, we cannot really do anything on the other side of the red line. Because how are you going to import your product since they are on the other side of the red line? Because if you're even given cranes and you're on the other side, it's like a waste if you have to think about it. When are we going to see realistically changes because we don't want just people talking about we need to do this, but nothing has been done. So many years, people are just talking.
Yeah, the red line issue is quite a very hot topic. It's on the agenda even of Parliament. It has been brought to the table, I think, through motions, and it is something that we are still going to discuss. We also have the land bill that is on the floor of Parliament that we are busy discussing, and I fully do agree that indeed the red line is an economic barrier to especially the citizens that are coming from north of the red line, that it should be removed, and it is a discussion that is before Parliament that we, especially the young people, are championing and are busy pushing that such policies of discrimination and that we don't have different forms of governance in Namibia, where we have different systems where people south of the red line are treated differently and those north of the red line are different, where we say that Namibia is a unitary state that is one country, so it needs to be the same for all. And that is something that we, especially us the young parliamentarians, are supposed to push and champion, and rest assured that is something that we are going to do for the Namibian people, and hopefully by the time that our term ends, that red line must have fallen.
Okay, Master Michael, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you
I
very
think
much.
our viewers will appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we should come back again just to discuss contemporary issues that are affecting the Namibian people.
I'd definitely love to do that. And thank you to the viewers, and let's continue pushing. To the young people, your dreams are valid. Some of us are living testimonies. We grew up in Katutura. We eventually made it to become national leaders. Although we have become national leaders, we have not run away from Katutura. I still live in Katutura because I want to develop the society where I come from, and I believe let's grow our communities, let's grow our regions, and let's eventually grow our country. And we can only do this if we work together as citizens of the country to make sure that our country becomes the country we would all want to live in, that it's prosperous for everybody to be happy. So thank you very much.
This is Honorable Michael Mulunga.